Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. These guys really think the Russians are retards. And when I say these guys, I'm talking about the Western elites. I don't know exactly why they think that. One reason could be they watch movies, and they know movies are a real representation of reality. And where you see, whenever you have a Russian represented in a Hollywood movie, is either a criminal, a terrorist, or a funny weirdo. Any other representation of any Russian? Yes, I'm here to do this. Something like that. And yes, I got the money. Yes, or pop, 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 pop. Nothing else. So I guess this is their interpretation. Or maybe they have a very low IQ. I don't know. Maybe they have a very low, level of analytical skills or something. They can't analyze people and say, okay, these guys like this. They don't know people. Then you say, how in the hell these guys became elites then, in those positions? Well, I can tell you a way. You have to stick this in someone's ass very deep and many times whenever you're required. Once you do that, maybe you're gonna be, pushed forward. Anyway, so let's get to serious things. The Russians supposedly keep on surprising these tards, I will call them tards, these guys on the other side. Because these guys are surprised all the time by the Russian achievements. I remember when, what's his name, Truman, Harry Truman, the former US president, yeah, the one that dropped 2 atomic bombs, okay, on civilian, infrastructure. Okay, that guy, yeah. After he met Stalin and Potsdam, and he, met some Soviets, not Russians, but anyway, I think he wrote in his memoirs, or he wrote, I don't know if he, or he made this statement. And I know I read this in a book written by a British historian. His name is David. I'm not going to tell you the last name. He wrote a book about Stalin, not about Stalin, about Churchill, about Nuremberg trials, about Dresden bombardments, and so on. So maybe you identify the guy. Nevertheless, he's not a kosher guy, let's put it this way. So that guy said in one of his books that Truman was very surprised that the Soviets acquired the nuclear weapon. And he said, how come, this is what he said, how come those Asiatic people are capable of acquiring atomic bomb, not nuclear bomb anyway, atomic bomb. How is that possible? Well, the thing is, it's not the, Operation Paperclip that the Americans had, that one when they grabbed whatever Nazi scientist as they could, and I think they got about 80% of them. Poor Soviets got about 20%, whatever they could find lost or drugged or something. And nevertheless, you can point out, oh, they were successful because they stole this from us and all that. Okay, and they threw the first satellite in space and orbit without, being first and all that. Anyway, so it doesn't make sense. So they always amazed the West, these Soviets, Russians in this case. And I think it's a bad assessment of your enemy, and then you will pay. So these guys thought that once they're gonna, how should I put it? They are tremendously arrogant, thinking that the whole world depends on them, which is 3, 4, 5 countries, for everything. And if they will not provide the rest of the world the sun ray, they will not have sun. Daylight is going to be turned into darkness. So that's what they think. So they think that without them, the rest of the world will go back plowing, with the ox. Psh, psh, let's go, move. That's what they think. They really believe that, and they think about that. Think that about you and I as well. Not only the Soviets, the Russians, the Chinese, but all of us. They are that far away and broken, ruptured from reality, our reality. Anyway, so they think that without their, the rest of the world cannot, invent or design a match. In this case, they thought that imposing these sanctions on Russia will get Russian military to a halt, the production of anything, bullets or AK-47s and helmets and anything else. They would just not have them, including missiles. Why? Because only we can make missiles. What do the Russians know about missiles? You know what I mean? So what they did, they thought that doing those things, the Russians will run out of missiles because they had foreign components, you know, from us. And without those, you're done. Well, guess what? The Russians somehow looked back, they dug in their asses and pulled out those components made somehow by Russians. And they're all like, damn, how is that possible? Well, because you are very poor in assessing people, because you have an ideology and you live in a different dimension and you're just delusional. So this article comes from the New Voice of Ukraine from today, December 6, 2022. Russia manufactures cruise missiles despite Western sanctions. How could that be possible? Must be they are taking from Americans somehow from, I don't know. So let's see how they managed to do this. Repeated Russian missiles attack on Ukraine include cruise missiles that were manufactured several months after Western sanctions were supposed to make that difficult. The New York Times reported on December 5. Maybe they stored some. Anyway, based on debris of Russian Kh-101 missiles found near Kiev after the November 23rd missile attack, Conflict Armament Research analysts determined they were produced last summer and in September 2022. So one of the researchers noted Russia's ability to produce cruise missiles could suggest that Moscow has found the ways to circumvent sanctions and import semiconductors, or that it had ample stockpiles of high-tech components prior to the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. An unnamed US defense intelligence source said Russia likely faces ammunition shortages and has to use a mix of modern and outdated cruise missiles in its attack. Now, let's see how could that be possible. So either the Russians planned ahead, which is not a characteristic of a retard, okay? If you plan ahead, that means you are... Second, you have the ability to adapt, again, not a characteristic of a retard, okay? So they either develop them by themselves, because they're not that tards, or, as this guy said, they had a big stockpile beforehand, knowing that these tards will do what they did. Because these guys play chess and the Americans play checkers. Pick, 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 pick. So there you have it. What did you expect? Well, if you expect that your enemy is a little baboon over there dragging his balls down the concrete, yeah, obviously you say, oh my God, did you see that baboon? He planned ahead, like 7 steps ahead of us. Jesus Christ. But guess what? And how do you expect a real confrontation to occur? Oh, we got HIMARS. Yeah, you got HIMARS. Russians got something else. It's just this arrogance. It's this delusional worldview. And remember, those guys are in charge of me, are in charge of you, if you're American or if you live in a Western country. It's enough to look at our elected officials. Nowadays, they're our leaders. Look at Trudeau. Look at Biden. Look at Kamala. Look at, what's her name? What's her name? The foreign minister of the and then prime minister. Truss. Laziness, Truss. Look at Baerbock. Annabelle. Look at, what's his name? The Chancellor of Germany. Scholz. Look at those average at best. The only one that doesn't fall under that category on that camp is Macron. The only one. I give him, well, the guy is intelligent, thinks ahead, is balanced, is a weasel, but he's smart weasel. These guys are weasel, but they're like something like that. So I'm sorry. They are surprised that Russia was able somehow to circumvent. And I told you, it tells you that they are not tards as you thought they are. And believe me, they were ready with the SWIFT, with the banking thing. They were ready with the cap. They were ready with sanctions. They were ready with, because why? Those guys did all of that before to other countries. You just needed to pay attention, like attention span 3 minutes, and to put it in your little box. Again, with sanctions, again, with freezing assets, so many other countries had their assets frozen. Do you think the Russians were not ready? But they could cover how much they could cover, because you can say, well, they froze $300 billion in assets and liquidities of Russians, and they were caught off guard. Well, certain things you can't turn them overnight. I mean, it's too obvious. Some things need to mature, so you have to leave them over there. You can't always win. But look, these guys cannot find $200 billion of Russian liquidities that they froze. Where are they? Maybe Zelensky got them because he's the Financial Times Person of the Year. not for nothing. From a clown, a prisoner, not yet, a president, and a financial dealer in the temple. Where is Jesus Christ to come and, motherfuckers, get the fuck out? Well, I'm waiting. Hey, you're kind of late. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.